Tēnā tātou. Tēnei te aroa rangi nui e tūake nei. Tēnei te aroa o papa tua nuku e takoto nei. Tēnei te aroa rangi rawa ko papa e takoto nei. Kia rarau te tapo ai o tāne ki raro. Tēnei te pō, tau mai te ao. Ka rangatia te ao e piri. Ka rangatia ko tāne e piri. E tata, whakamaua kia tīna, tīna. Hui e tāki. Kia ora kōrua.
Kia ora.
Mira te kia koe e hoa. Hara mai.
Round of who we are, where we're from, or?
Well, I'll start us off and then we'll get straight into it and go from there. Cool. Kia ora koutou katoa e ho mā, nau mai, haere mai, ki te papa tākaro o StayMe Always, bringing it to you organic, live and dynamic. Now bring me your cups. Fortunately I've only got a bottle so I'll use that. Cheers. And let's dip into the healing well. Well, welcome to a new series that I'm calling Aroha Tāne, where we centre our discussions around 3 essential totem poles that I feel is really important, surrounded with emotional wellness, mental well-being and spiritual awareness. But before we get started, I want to introduce to you my divergence, Joelle, an amazing individual who I've been following for a while now, that has inspired me to want to connect and reach out. I've been watching your journey, your pānui, your connection with Te Reo, and in our tikinga, it's been awe-inspiring. So look, thank you so much for joining the Healing Well. And look, before we get started, with all of our new guests, we ask an out-the-box question. So I'm just going to kind of throw a random one, a left field one at you, hope you don't mind. So, spot or stripes, and why?
Dots or stripes, and why? Yeah, dots, because I just like the shape of continuing forever. It's like it's the natural shape of nature for me. Everything starts with a spiral, and yeah, that's me. That's why I chose dots.
Oh, cool. No, that's pretty cool. It's pretty awesome. And look, do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself, your background, and where you're from?
Yeah, ka pai. Ko wai ko pirongia te maunga, ko kawhia te moana, ko ka whanui te wakato te awa. Ngā te mani a poto te iwi, ko rākau nui tōku marae, ko Jarrell McQueen tōku ingoa. Kia ora whānau, my name's Jarrell, or you can call me Jar. Born and raised in Kirikiri Waikato, and yeah, I'm a father to a 5-year-old princess, and I'm married to a queen from Te Tai Rāwhiti, the East Coast. Yeah, so someone to keep me grounded, and I'm very, very grateful for the journey I've been on. Yeah, so born and raised in Hamilton, got a background in construction and my career, and also working in the health sector. I used to live off dancing, which is my passion as a b-boy, and I lived in Auckland doing that as a profession for about 5-7 years. Yeah, 5.5, 6 years I think it was. So yeah, I've got a worldly view. I've travelled the world. I've lived in Australia, and I've been on this journey of self-discovery, self-awareness, self-love, and self-inner peace. So I'm just continuing the journey. I work as a whānau order navigator at the moment for Te Koha Health, which is the leading Māori health provider in Waikato. And yeah, basically give a full wraparound supportive approach to whānau, individuals and couples. Also run a few projects on the side. So I contract into schools delivering program around healthy relationships, prevent dating violence, sexual violence, and just to give the tools to our rangatahi around navigating relationships and how they can be equal, safe and enthusiastic. Yeah, and I run a program called the Kaitiaki Project alongside a few friends of mine, which was created to help address mental health with our tāne and also suicide here in Aotearoa. So we've been running this hikoi for over a year now. It's having huge transformations for Tāne. And naturally, their wives started asking. And we started doing women's hikois as well. So we take up to 60 people at a time. It's all out of nature in the taiao. And we don't charge people for this mahi. You know, it's not, these tools are not ours to keep. So currently, we're on a break because of COVID. But it's a huge demand, you know, like the fact that we book out our positions when we send out the registration within an hour tells us that people are seeking healing, people are seeking enlightenment and trying to find their true authentic self again. So that's a little bit about me. I wear a few hats and I work in a few different spaces. But yeah, still on the journey, you know, like I'm no guru. I'm just a guy that decided to choose change and go against the narrative of just harden up and suppress your feelings and get over it and all of that kōrero. So yeah, that's a bit about me, whānau. We can elaborate on some of that kōrero. Yeah, I don't know how long I should answer the question really, so I'll just land the plane there.
No, that's all good. That's all good. And I have absolute respect for everything that you do, and I'm very much an advocate for change. And you know, do we ever stop learning? Do we ever get off our journey? Is it continual? Absolutely. It just keeps evolving as the days go by and life continues. So yeah, I absolutely respect absolutely everything that you stand for and thing you're doing currently. So kia ora to that. And TZ Created, how are you, bro?
Yeah, I'm all good, eh? Just the usual for me. Definitely resonate with a lot of what you're letting our kōrero is about, bro. Especially when it comes to wellness and identity, spirituality, because those are the three totem poles that I roll around. Cultural background, I'm not just Māori, I'm Spanish, Brazilian, French, Welsh. I've got 2 pendragons on my back as my token gesture to my Welsh language, and then I can speak Spanish and Portuguese and Te Reo Māori. And yeah, like you, lived all over the world, LA, New York, Shanghai, Dubai, London, you name it, I've lived in most of them. And from favela to favela, yeah, but you know, we're just simple Māori boys making our way in the world and trying to help people on the way and hopefully learning and getting wiser from the other day. Nara wātu kia koe.
Ngā mihi kia koe, te rangatira.
No, thank you. And for myself, everybody kind of has a bit of an idea of my journey. I've very much so I'm on a similar journey as both of you, working with women, absolutely an advocate for women, women's empowerment, you know, gender equality. And yeah, I absolutely feel for both of you because we're all three for a reason. And here to be a voice for those in our people and everyone else here in the audience that needs a bit of help. So ultimately, this show was designed, hence I called it the Healing Well. It's a place, it's a space that you can come to so we can help you to give you the recipe to help understand and cope with the everyday destruction and disruptions that are actually happening in our life. And this is all actually comes from whānau is from COVID, actually. And with a lot of women, talented, gifted women, where I see firsthand on a day-to-day basis the day-to-day struggles. Myself having dealt with the day-to-day struggles was a mum. So, you know, it was my place where I to start back and helping everybody else in and around me. There's so many people out there that have got such experience. So you know what? It's about us giving back to the people to help them to cope. So look, Where I want to go, how I want to start this is this journey and this series is all based around men and their emotional wellness, their mental well-being, and also that trying to understand and find that spiritual awareness or that spiritual net connection that you can actually go to help you through, disruptions. And where and I'm actually going to throw it out to you, Jorah, if you don't mind, is how has COVID and lockdown affected you? And you can go back to last year, and you can absolutely talk, the recent events of late.
For myself personally, I really understand how it's affected a lot of people in a negative way. This could be the first time for a lot of people, or most of the people that they're isolated in the one area for long amounts of time. For myself, I really enjoyed my experience with COVID because I got to just be with my whānau, and I got to see the taiao nature have a rest, and a lot more bird song coming through. But in my mahi space, I did have to work with a lot of whānau in distress, and still am working with a lot of whānau in distress. And it's around them not being able to access things, them not being able to go and get the supports that they usually get, and also not being able to cope with the distress that comes up for them, and the patterns that they might be repeating, the patterns that they learnt growing up. So I've just been trying to be as much of a support that I can. So I do a lot of Zoom calling, phone calling, and social distance visits with whānau. Where I like to use Māori kupu. So for distress, I like to call it te po, the dark, and for wellness, I call it te ao marama. So it's about bringing our whānau from te po back to te ao marama for me. And there's a few strategies there. There's first of all being a listening ear, and without judgment, without expectation, and just allowing them to express. Because as we know, when we express, we release energy that doesn't serve us. We physically let out that energy that's sitting there and marinating. So there's the listening, and I work a lot with the breath, the ha, controlling the breath to control life, to control and regulate emotions and thoughts, and trying to just allow whānau that opportunity to drop in, to do something different, and control the breath is, believe it or not, is quite different for a lot of us. We breathe subconsciously, so people tap into breathing consciously and different patterns for different things. Like, wow, and I say, it doesn't cost you either, whānau. So I've been working in that space with the breathing, and also tools around. So I'll just keep going.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, okay. There's a few pillars for me when it comes to. I guess that leads me into holding on to trauma. We need to allow ourselves to forgive. Forgiveness is a huge tool that I encourage. It's a tool that we can use constantly, but to allow ourselves to go there and really dig deep and forgive ourselves for the things we've done and the hurt that we've caused, maybe the sabotage we've caused ourselves, and even the things we've done to other people. That's the first step. And sometimes we need to think quite far back to have a good release. But there's also the aspect of forgiving other people that have hurt you. which is, it's quite hard to do. It can be quite a heavy and hard exercise to do because the hurt ego, tells you, nah, stuff them, blah, blah, blah. It tells you all the stories, right? And it's actually, it doesn't serve us to hold that. So just letting the whānau know it's not actually about that person. You can, one day you might send them love, but right now it's about your own inner peace, and you're releasing it for your own self because you deserve inner peace. So forgiveness is a huge tool that I use. So that might look like just a forgiveness letter to self and to those that have hurt you, and releasing that into the awa, or even better, burning it. These are some of the strategies that I use with whānau. Because whānau just want to be, what I've figured out, whānau just want to be seen. We all just want to be seen. Yep. We want to be heard. We want to be understood. We want to be cared about, and we want to feel like we're valued and we're a part of something. So that's a little bit on the tools side of things. If I was to think of other tools, there's the go-tos like meditation, mindfulness activities out in nature. Just reconnecting with Papa Tuanuku. It sounds quite funny, that we have to actually make it an event. I'm just going to plug my phone in and hold it. But yeah.
She said that about connecting with nature and Papa Tuanuku. I was literally just on the phone with my father, and we were just talking about a friend of mine and the circumstance and the situation he's going through with his own mental health. And my father said to me, first off, without me even mentioning anything, I need to take him to the bush.
Yeah.
I need to take him. He needs to get out into nature. He needs to smell the trees, touch the earth, be one with, as you said, Papa Tuanuku, because what is it about nature in your eyes that helps you to, and in this case I'm going to say, spiritually connect and actually help that healing process start?
Great question. So basically we are nature. We are Papa Tuanuku. We are the clouds. We are the rain, and we all descend from nature, right? So it might sound woo woo, but people can look through history and we go all the way back to the Big Bang, right? If you look at it from a science view, and Te Ao Māori, nature is everything. It is what keeps us alive, sustains us. The rākau, the tree that you just talked about. Ra meaning sun, ko is short for ko, which is swim. So it's the trees are basking in the sun to give us air. So there's a lot of depth to it. There's even science backed evidence that tells us that getting outside of nature re-energizes us. They call it grounding now. Our tupuna have been doing it for many, many years. And for me, it's one of the go-to tools. It doesn't cost people, but they've just got to allow themselves the time to go there.
Yeah.
They go down to the awa. I've got, I don't know how many people I asked, when was the last time you went to the awa? We've got a beautiful awa in our city. I don't remember, they reckon. So yeah, that's definitely something I encourage, is connecting with nature, with Papa Tuanuku. That's why we do our hikois in nature, because when people sit there and just listen to the birds singing and the sun on their skin, they're like, wow, like I'm feeling something. Yeah. Right? So it's our mama, it's our earth mother cleansing us, going into the streams as cold as they are. The wai is super important in our culture. It's the wai, it's the water that cleanses us. It's the water that holds us in the mama's puku. It's what passes all of our DNA through generations. So yeah, hope that answers the question. I love being out in the taiao. I love looking at the stars. How often do we look up at the stars?
Yeah, right.
So I do astrophotography, and I'm just a hardcore stargazer. I live aligned to the maramataka. So, you know, I know that I have about 7 days of the month that I need to be more mindful of my thoughts and my triggers, and that's okay. So, what's happened with the maramataka and myself is I kind of can predict, you know, what's going to happen in the week, in the coming days, on the day that I'm in. So we're in Rako Matohi today, which is a beautiful time to plant seeds and even kōrero and mānanga, because the atua at play, you know.
To do what? Say that again, just so that somebody hearing knows what I'm doing.
Yeah, bro. So it's a good time to plant seeds and just get out there to ill, to wānanga and share ideas. It's a high energy time. Yeah.
No, definitely. Actually, and TZ, we've spoken about this a number of times across multiple shows, and Darrell's brought up so many amazing aspects.
You're reading my mail, Kaz.
There's a connection between you two already, and you haven't even met. So I
feel like I've met the bro, actually. Sure. Yeah.
Somewhere along the way, because I did producer. And then because if you know what music does and how that happens, resonant frequency. And so talking about getting out into the flow, just for those of you who don't know what flow means, it means the environment. And so when we're talking about getting out into nature, you know, if you know about Schumann, the pulsates at a rate of 0.83, maybe 8. And so if you know that, that's what you're actually referring to, the science. And then if you know the human body's natural resonant frequency between 5 and 10 hertz, depending on what mode you're operating in. If you're relaxing, it's about 5. If you're right at the top of your optimum capacity, when your mind is fully engaged and your mental faculties are engaged, it's 10. And so when we get out into papatunaku, get out into nature, our body's resonant frequency actually aligns perfectly with the Earth's frequency for papatunaku. That's why we need it. And so people who don't know this stuff, as well as you and I do, they know that it's happening because you can feel it happening. You can feel the awa. That's why. So when you're talking about out into the awa, out into and doing all the things that you do, man, you're reading my mail, and then you're talking about the maramataka, because I do everything around the moon, when to plant, or when not to plant, new moons, full moons, half moons. You know, I also follow the Moedim, which is where I think our people got it from, which is if you go back to ancient cultures, you go back to the Hebrew calendar, and you see the spring equinox, and then you see all the feasts that they had, and then you come now, you had the fall equinox which happened on the 21st, and then you look at all the events that are happening all around the world, so that you can more or less predict what's going to happen. I'm right.
And just to back the brother up, for those watching, you know, all the stuff is we're scientifically, we're evolutionary designed and aligned to the moon. You know, our evolutionary system is wired to it. And because we live to fit the Gregorian calendar, the Western calendar, we're out of balance, we're out of whack, you know. So when people don't even know this, so I understand it, and it's really helpful when I'm working with whānau, and I can just say, yeah, it's okay. We're on a low energy day. I understand, you know, and I see the same patterns with the same people I work with, and the same phases of the month every month, and for myself as well. So it's super helpful. You know, there's days to rest, there's days to be productive, there's days to fast, to karakia, to align to your third eye and all those things. So yeah.
Because you spoke about meditation. And because, so you're reading my mail across every space and aspect of your kōrero, and I'm going, yep, meditation, karakia, reconnecting with the land, and then meditating and doing karakia, because I do it go outside and I can take my shoes off and I connect. And yeah, the peace that you get from that, especially when you're doing hua whenua, is amazing, man. And I guess one of the critical aspects of this show and talking to people like you, getting the privilege to talk to other people like you who have this mātauranga and then can bounce back with me and with StayMe Always is amazing, because then people know that my kōrero is tika and not tickle.
Kia ora, brother. And that's why I just backed you up there, because, you know, they might hear because you talked on the sound frequencies and all that stuff's true too. So just to back you up there, brother. Yeah, with sound for myself, I really love to play taonga puoro, so Māori instruments. And if I don't have any, I'll just jump onto Spotify. And honestly, whānau, if you get the opportunity to take your headphones or speaker and play taonga puoro down by the awa, I really encourage you to go there and meditate with that frequency of sound. And it really guides you in your mind, because it's actually the sound of the atua, the sound of nature itself. So yeah, that's just a little gem I thought I'd throw in there.
It's funny you should talk about taonga puoro too, because ke te mohi o koe a horomono horo.
Aye.
Yeah, so he's a whanaunga from Te Tairāwhiti. So when you told us that your wahine is from Te Tairāwhiti, from Te Tairāwhiti, I hope, no tiki tiki.
Kia ora.
Ke te taha o tōku mama, ke te taha o tōku pāpā, no te whānau apanui, whakatoa hoki, ke te taha o tōku kuia, mai tōku mama, no ngaitahu.
Kia ora, bro. Ka pai, bro. So my sister is a Jews from up Tiki Tiki. Sister-in-law, yeah.
Well, we're connected by the sounds of it.
Yeah. Divine intuition, divinely connected.
Absolutely.
Yeah, no mistakes, right?
No mistakes. We all, everyone that crosses your path, whether it's intentional, and actually, is it ever intentional to start with? No. There's always a reason, and that's why, the people that we have on the show, we have that direct connection through a spiritual connection that we constantly always talk about on the show. And I'm actually going to go just throw it back to you, Teasy, because you're very much so in tune with, a lot of scripture. And we were talking about, the start in life and how this all came about. You want to give us a bit of insight in reference to that?
Yeah. Look, the Kazi here already laid down all the groundwork for me and just makes it so much easier. So tika tauri, bro. So I subscribe to Holy Scripture. And I actually believe that our people came from the Levant, of the Jordan, Israel. Yeah. And the kōrero of the Philistines. So I look at all of their teachings and how they were perfectly aligned with the maramataka. They did all their planting, all their spiritual things all around the moon. And so since I've been back here, I've been slowly but surely readjusting my life back to that, because when I was overseas, and this is the problem, if you don't have it on lock before you go overseas, you start losing your identity, and then I ended up chronically depressed, and so my mental wellness took a massive hit in 2012. And being back here, and being with StayMe Always and the crew that we have around here, reconnecting with Papa Tuanuku and reconnecting with our Māori culture and just reconnecting with who I truly am, which is, and then I see all the cultures and they're all ancient cultures too, and it's all the same information. It's just names, but it's all the same thing. It's exactly the same thing. And so I go back to the Hebrew calendar specifically for spiritual stuff because I see all their prophets, and that's where you get people like Whakapapa following those teachings because they knew there was something more hohonu than what we currently had at the time. But I actually think that if we go back to before the time of the colonials where we got colonized, our people were already at that level. Like our people were genius, you know. I mean, trench warfare, you know. Who comes up?
Supreme intelligence, bro.
Yeah, absolutely supreme intelligence. And like, yeah, without, because I don't want to blame my country or anything, because it's about you and what you're bringing to the show. But yeah.
Yeah, so, yeah, no, that's beautiful, brother. I really resonate with your kōrero, like we've identified many times. So, but yeah, just in regards to that, yeah, our tupuna had a divine intuition, you know, they could jump on a waka and know this land there through the frequency of the waves, through the manu in the air, and they'll be able to navigate without stars when it's cloudy. So if you put someone on a boat nowadays, where do they start, right? Without a motor or a fish finder or any technology. It's
because right now you're talking about GPS.
Yeah.
For GPS.
All of that technology. No, there's no technology, and I know a few navigators myself, and they're still doing it. You know, like, it still amazes me today. You know, the big question of like, what about when it's cloudy? How do you know? They just, we know where we come from, so we know where we're going because we know, and that's huge. And to see that a lot of our people are disconnected to who they are, there's just a key ingredient right there. Yep. Get to know your whakapapa. Yeah. So I had a friend do a longitude study on Whakapapa at the University, Vic Uni in Wellington, and the findings were the people that knew more about their whakapapa, who learnt more, had a better quality of life. It started rising. Yep. Those that didn't learn anything, they kind of stayed on the flat on where they were. So why do I bring that up is because knowing your whakapapa is knowing the beauty inside you. It's knowing the intelligence inside you. It's knowing what's really deep inside that you can unlock. Because all the things that our tupuna used to do, it's still there for us. Yeah. And it's still available if we allow ourselves to go there and learn and do the actions, right? Yeah. There's something else I was thinking of saying. Like, oh yeah, in regards to Te Ao Māori, I'm really big on pūrākau, so that's one of my big tools in my mahi. I share stories about Te Ao Māori and our atua. So, for example, Hene Moana, she's the atua we can go to for cleansing. You know, she's about from the edge of the sand at the beach to about 15 k's out. She's that area where we can stand and feel her draw the mamai out of our feet when the waves come and wash it. Tane Mahuta, he's the atua of observation. He's an intelligent observer, observing of self, observing of others, of the forest. The atua of the forest as well, but really clever guy. And all that stuff's they're traits that humans have, you know. Tū mātaunga, known as the atua of war. But he's actually the atua of high levels of strategic thinking. He was the most strategic person in the realm of gods. And I think it was very clever that our tupuna put these stories, all of these teachings into stories, because it's actually proven through psychiatrists and science that we hold on to knowledge if it's delivered in a story form. Yep. Right, so you know, I've got many pūrākau that I use in my mahi, and it resonates not only with Māori, you know, and when a parent comes in with their tamariki, yep, and the parent's saying, "Oh, she's not listening," you know, we've got all these plans for her. She just wants to do her own thing. Yeah. And I might share the story about Ruo Moko. Ruo Moko is the baby that got left behind by all the older siblings, right? left with Papa Tuanuku, and Rua Moko started to feel unheard, unseen, like he didn't have a say in his life, that he wasn't a part of the conversation, right? A part of the plans. And then I'll tell the whānau I'm in Mānanga with. And then Rua Moko became the atua of volcanoes and earthquakes. So it really just lands for them, and they're like, oh.
That's where the haka came from.
Yeah, and I don't really need to say, well, you should actually involve her in the plans. I can just say that the pūrākau, right? Indirectly tell them. So yeah, there's many stories, and I know that we all have these traits in us. You know, we have Uepoto, who is the atua of curiosity.
Yeah.
I see that in the bow. And, you know, there's 70 plus atua, and those are only the male ones. There's 75 plus wahine atua. So just for the wahine out there, you know, there's not only tāne atua, there's actually more wahine atua than there are tāne atua. So we just got to know them. And they all have beautiful traits.
I definitely would have opened my mouth, so thank you.
Yeah,
kapoi.
all these characteristics and traits of all these atua, because I subscribe to, we're talking about the same stuff, just with the name. So I subscribe to the archangels, which is exactly what you're talking about. And then all of the angels underneath them, because you have the heads, you have the chiefs, just like in a iwi, and any iwi, you have the chiefs, you have the rangataua, and then you have the rangataua. So everything that you're talking about is resonating big time. Yeah, just like going back to GPS, like, because I've got my private pilot's license, and my second flight, I went out and my instruments went down.
Yeah, that's Māori.
And so I'm in the air, I'm in Melbourne, and I'm doing my second flight in. This is after getting my recreational pilot's license. And all my instruments go down because there's a big massive lightning strike, and some magnetic interference must have interfered with my instruments, and they were dead. But man, I just broke out into karakia, just silent, and just talking to that fella upstairs. I was like, man, I really need you right now, because I'm
by yourself.
Yeah, I just got my private policy.
Yeah.
So I was doing my second flight, my solo flight, and all my instruments were up, and I was like, man. So I just broke into karakia, put my open, because there's a little window there. I opened it, put my hand up, and I was just reaching up. I was like, man, I need you to guide me home here, and I was shunting, man. But that spiritual GPS that you were referring to,
yeah,
in my head, that kicked in, and I was in the clouds, man, and it's pouring down with rain. So I was and
did you find your way back?
Found my way all the way back, and then I got down to 5,000 feet, and then I could see everything clear as. But I had no idea where I was because and then I just saw the city, and then started my route back down south, came back towards the airport, and then my headset kicked in. I called to the tower.
Yeah, so we've got for us men, you know, no disrespect to the ladies, this is evidence-based stuff, but we have through our evolution, we have a good sense of bearings, because we're the ones that go out and hunt, you know. So we've naturally got that. I said it the wrong place at the wrong time the other day at the pool when I was surrounded by women, and I didn't get a good reply. But yeah, it's quite interesting. You know, we can get dropped off somewhere blindfolded, really, and figure out where we're going. I won't say that. Don't take my word for that, brothers.
Yeah.
But yeah.
No, I totally agree with you. Living in Dubai, watching sandstorms coming in, getting caught in them, and when you're on a sandstorm, you got no compass springs, you got nothing. You got a sandstorm, and done that a couple of times, and I'm just like sitting there. How the hell did we find out what?
You know, we speak all the time on the show about senses and actually how to in tune with our senses to guide us through our day life. And that's exactly what we're talking about. It's using that spiritual sense to actually help us all the way through. And that's exactly what we're talking about now as well. And everything you're both talking about, I'm just going to make reference because I talk a lot on Instagram. I do a lot of posts around momentum brushes, and momentum are the invisible things, the thoughts, the feelings, everything that happens with you spiritually in your head is something physical to actually bring out those thoughts and bring out those feelings. Will actually help you to move on and feel better. And all the tools you're talking about, breathing, these are little things that people don't understand, like you say, that don't cost, that actually make a massive difference in just everyday circumstances and situations. So, we talk about that quite often, and I'm glad you both actually brought up.
I feel like we could go for hours too. It is super important to for what we're doing right here and being a part of that change, because I feel like we're in a huge shift of consciousness. So we're in an age of the shift, and so for myself, in regards to physically releasing things, I'm starting to share these tools with my daughter, and it's amazing to see. She knows when she needs to drop in, and and she's only 5. One activity I do this with wahine, but I've started doing it with my daughter, is just going to the awa and throwing rocks. You're physically going, and then it turns out to be like this happy exploration hangout, and some it might be just some exercise or a play at the park, but there are physical things that we can do. For myself, just to drop some knowledge for those that maybe go into te po, into that dark space, you gotta get out and move. You can't just sit in the room. And most of us have phones, so chuck the headphones on, put your favorite music on, go back and play that whole Lauryn Hill album, whatever that is. Go back to some of your old albums. These are quick, easy tools. Start playing those, turn it up, have a dance, sing to the top of your lungs. These are physical things you can do. Even if you're a bit of a shower singer like me, just go there, and who cares what anyone else thinks.
Momentum brushes, right?
These are the momentum brushes. Well, there you go. I never heard the concept before, but this is the things that I like to do for myself. Go for a train at the gym. Connect with someone else. So this is a huge one. This is probably something you have maybe talked about, but even just sharing, a problem halved, a problem shared is a problem halved.
Absolutely.
So find those people in your space, in your life. A lot of time, even our own whānau don't understand. They don't even know what depression is, so they don't even know how to have compassion for it. So find those people that you can share with, that don't judge you, and that are there to listen. And because when we release that energy, so emotions are just energy in motion. And when we release what's stored, we physically have change. Like I've jumped on, because I've got pages with men that where it's a safe container to share. And I used to be a pretty rough dude, hanging out with all the gangs and doing bad things. So I never thought I'd be in this space. Now I've arrived where I can jump on the page or sit with men and boom, let it out, cry, share, and boom, I feel way better afterwards.
Absolutely.
So I really encourage our men out there. The narrative of harden up, get over it, it's all bullshit.
Yeah, absolutely.
Basically, it's suppress your feelings, and if we suppress, we don't express. So that's a huge thing we do on our hikois. We just encourage vulnerability, We encourage everyone, and the sayings, a few of our sayings is, if not now, when?
Yeah.
And if not you, who? Who's going to choose change for you?
Exactly.
If not you, who? So, we just say go there today. Allow yourself to just go there and be vulnerable, because vulnerable is the new sexy. It's the new cool.
Indeed.
It's the natural way to be. The word Māori is natural.
Yeah.
It translates to being natural. So there's so much bullshit, that we have to unlearn.
Yeah.
So much things we have to, beliefs and learnings that we have to challenge.
Yeah.
All the thoughts that we have, basically, I'd say 80% of them are from the colonizer, from the system, and they're not, a lot of them are outdated. So for even our young boys who haven't had a relationship, they've still got the stereotype in their head that the woman should cook and clean, look after the kids, and they go to work, come back, and they're bare and their kai's ready,
Actually, it's interesting you talk all about this, because a lot of our conversations in almost every single show that we've done, myself, my accountability expert and me, and Teasy, we always end up going back to the start. It's the first 7 years of your life.
Mm-hmm.
A major impact
Huge.
in terms of, what happens going forward. And you're talking about that right now.
Yeah, because I've been learning a bit about neuroscience and brain development for our tamariki, and because I'll be delivering programs in our prisons. I've done one so far at Spring Hill, and it's all about the brain and the development, and especially the first 3 years. So for those that don't know, our brain develops to about 92% in our first 3 years of its full life potential, and so at adulthood, full grown brain, the average brain's about 1,400 grams, and when we're 3, it's 1,200 grams.
Wow.
So it's crazy the amount of information and the amount of morals and characteristics that we learn at that age, and you're carrying on till when we're 7 as well. It goes to like 97%. So it's right up there. I did a presentation the other day. Maybe we can just talk a bit about that. Risk and protective factors is one. So, even if you're, for example, you're living you're a baby growing up in a gang environment and it's quite rough. If you have one person that is there for you, that listens, that can show you love, it can actually cancel out the risk factors. That one person can be your savior.
Yeah.
So that's important to know. I also talked about the circle of security the other day, and what does that look like? So on the top side of the circle, it's about encouraging our exploration of our kids, but also letting them know that you're there. So the example I gave was when my daughter was 1, she might take about 20 steps and then look back, and she'll know that's her limits. Now she's way up the road, but she knows I'm there. I'm the parent that kind of encourages climbing, and if she's going to fall off, she's going to learn. So there's that part of it, encouraging exploration, but also being there, enjoying it with them, telling them that they're safe. And then the other side is being there for them emotionally, that it's having a safe haven for them, and really being the bigger person, being wiser. I see a lot of parents call their kids names or get angry and when they're actually the adults. So there's a lot of sayings that people need to unlearn, like stop crying, for one. It's actually the worst thing you can say to a kid when they're emotional. Stop crying. You're saying suppress your feelings because I want my ears to be feeling okay or whatever, But it's really, we should be saying, have a big cry. Have a big cry, let it go, and I'm here for you. I love you anyway. So these are things that we're not really taught in school. I'm
going to throw something in the mix here.
Yeah, good.
And I just want to kind of get a bit of an understanding from myself and TZ, and a response, because when you are a single parent And being a single parent,
Mm.
hard it is. And I had 2 kids that I had to raise by myself. You know what? When you're struggling day to day, emotionally you're drained, mentally you're drained, physically you're drained, and you just want that peace. And I know I'm absolutely just stop crying because I'm going to go insane. Don't. Like, how do you, and maybe this can actually just twist it slightly, for all the men out there that are single dads, what advice do you give them? Because they're going to get into that state of mind. They're not going to be able to see, they're not going to be able to be rational, and they're just going to snap just like that. Like, what sort of things can you suggest to help them to calm and actually see that there's light in the tunnel? What do you suggest, Joel?
I guess, yeah, it varies, because some people hold a lot more trauma than others. You know, they're used to getting bashed. Some were given love, but for those that are finding it hard, I just really encourage you to know that their baby, you know, they're crying for something. You know, they're crying for something. Just understand that they might just want to cuddle. They might be teething. They might be hungry, or they need a nappy change. It's usually just those 4 things, you know, or 3 things. But there's quite a lot with that. It's not one easy answer, but it's around self-awareness of your emotions, as a rangatira, as a dad. Are you gonna act the same as your baby, you know, but in a different way, yelling? And that's pretty much crying in itself. So it's about, like what I said before, being bigger, being wiser, and being the more mature person. Some strategies, definitely the breath. You know, our motto is 3 deep breaths, but sometimes we need to do 30 deep breaths or 300. But I'd encourage the deep breathing, reaching out for support. Don't ever feel like you got to do it on your own. I'm sure, you know, there's someone there in your circle that's there to support you. If you don't have anybody, there are services out there. You know, look for whānau ora navigator to help you through those hard times. But really, I just want to encourage self-growth. You know, we can't really give what we don't have.
Yeah.
And if we're not in tune, then everything's gonna kind of fall out of whack, and sometimes we're not even aware of why we're triggered. So there's a whole journey of self-growth and self-awareness and healing to happen. Just be kind to yourself, those out there, because as we know, everything we do, our kids learn. It's not what we say, it's what we do. So we really gotta just let love shine over everything else. You know, lead with love as much as you can, and get into things like meditation. It's free on YouTube, on Spotify. It sucks at the start if you don't know anything about it, because your mind wanders. But the key thing to know is that the mind will always wander, and that's okay. So I hope that answers the question. You know, I apologise if it wasn't helpful for someone out there.
You know what? I'll tell you this. There is so many people out there that have got a slightly different viewpoint, and that's another reason too why I like to have different personalities, different genders, different cultures on my show, because someone is going to absolutely resonate with one of us at some point. And it's so important that we have that diversity.
Yeah, I'm sitting here just resonating with you. I feel like the I'm just sitting here just listening to you, and I feel very, really.
He doesn't say that. He doesn't. You know, once you.
Kia ora, brother.
But yeah, absolutely. Look, we could go on, and I am so passionate about this discussion and everything that I've wanted to talk about. And you know what? We haven't even hit the questions that I wanted to even ask.
All good. I know I've got nowhere to be,
Yeah.
so it's up to you. It's really up to you.
But what's great about it is that it's absolutely organic, and that's what makes it flow, and that's how the connection starts for the audience. But what I would do is before we end it, one question I do want to just throw out to you, Jarell, as well. What advice can you give Tanya that maybe are struggling? We've spoken about a lot of tools, ways and means and things to move forward. But if there was something, experiences you've had personally, and specific things, like one or two things that really helped you with your healing and your progression moving forward, what would that be?
Kapai. Find a circle of influence. Find people that you can connect with. You know, they don't have to be masters and psychologists. They don't. You know, we've lost touch of just talking to the neighbour.
Yeah.
You know, talking to the bro up the road, or you know, connecting with old friends again. You know, how often do we ring our mates? Hey, bro, how you been? And so, you know, to just have one or two people, you know, to start with, to start this journey, because I guess the first thing would be start the journey of self-healing. It would be my first thing. Start the journey of healing. We all hold a backpack full of bullshit stories, and they don't serve us. So we got to figure out how to release those. And you know, if they say what you what do they say? What's the word? What you don't reveal, you can't heal.
Correct.
So just know that if you choose, because everything you have or don't have is from a choice. So if you continue to choose not to address this thing that's been there for however long, well, that's your choice. But what I'm trying to tell you is to choose change, to choose healing, to choose vulnerability, my brothers and sisters. Allow yourself to really question your belief around just got to toughen up and get over it, eh?
Yeah.
Challenge that belief, and you know, reach out to things that are out there. You know, in Australia they've got a mend. Even here in Aotearoa they've got a mend, kaupapa like that, the Kaitiaki project. Go and seek the knowledge. You know, I know we've got all of this knowledge available to us. You know, on YouTube. You know, you can search on how to address, how to understand depression. You know, but we spend hours scrolling random things on Facebook. You know, that actually don't serve us. So you know, start doing your own mahi. And look into things, whānau. You know, you got Uncle Google there. I'm a big fan of documentaries. I'm a visual learner. So if you're a visual learner like me, get into your documentaries. You know, watch things like The Secret and learn about manifestation. Start there, and just understand that it is possible to change. It starts with small steps. You know, it's a lot of failing forward. But yeah, just get on that journey of self-development. You know, I never was told about self-development growing up. So it was just education. But, you know, there's this key word about development of self, and man, it's such a beautiful space when you can really be self-aware.
Absolutely.
Oh, what, you know, of your triggers, of, you know, why you behave this way, why you do this and that, and then be aware of others around you too. You know, understanding why your partner's got some trauma that contributes to her ways too, and that's okay. You know, so yeah, just get on the waka of self-love and self-discovery, and you'll start unpacking some amazing things about yourself. The last thing I would probably say is lean into discomfort, whānau. Lean into discomfort. Why do I say lean into it? So if something's uncomfortable, do it. And why should you do it? Because that's where all the growth happens.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's not in the comfort zone. So like, there's so many little hacks. Like I consciously choose to have cold showers, because it's uncomfortable and it's winter, So I hope that's helped. I just want to keep flowing, but
I love everything that you've mentioned, and especially about just the initial. You just got to start. You've got to pick a point, and actually, this a lot of the time on our shows, and it's just you have to make the decision, because you actually can't start if you mentally don't make a decision. A lot of suggestions I've made, and I actually use this with my regional managers, and I empower them to give that information to all of our staff, to help them to move forward with different aspects and trauma and problems they're experiencing. I tell them to make a decision. Right? When you actually put a thought into physical action, you're more likely to actually continue and actually start. So if you write it, put it on a piece of paper, and then you take it outside and you light it, or whatever it is that is hurting you, whatever feelings that you've got, you screw it up, you light it with a match or with a lighter and destroy it, then you know what? That's the starting point. And then you're more likely to actually take that first step and actually continue. You're going to stumble, you're going to trip, you're going to fall on your face. But it's
going to suck, You're 100% right. You just got to start. You got to choose to start. Otherwise, you're choosing not to start, whānau? Because it's a choice. If you procrastinate, that's a choice. Just make a start, slow steps. We never know everything when we start something, So and just express yourself, man. Don't hold.
And what about you, Teasy? Like for you also, if you had to give our tāne and our wahine, it doesn't really matter, because ultimately it's for everybody to help in their self-discovery and their journey. If you were to give a couple of examples in terms of what you've experienced that's really helped you through your trials and your tribulations of your everyday struggles, what would you impart? What would you think over?
So I'm going to answer your question beforehand that I forgot to answer. So what I used to do with my girls when they were little, and you'll both be able to resonate with this, is from the Hebrew scriptures from 16, and it says, "Now the Lord's Spirit had left Saul, and an evil spirit from the Lord tormented him. Saul's officials told him, an evil spirit from God is tormenting your majesty. Why don't you command us to look for a man and play the lyre, play an instrument?" So we're talking about musical resonant frequency and what happens there. And then when the evil spirit comes to you, it'll come a tune and you'll feel better. So then, now let's go to the music that we talked about on the show. So you mentioned one of the greatest female artists, possibly the greatest, Lauryn Hill. To me, female artist of all time. Her spirituality, all of that. So when I was deeply aware of the scripture, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to start getting into music, which is how I found my musical gifting. And my music, for me, has inadvertently and unbeknown to me been my therapy. It's therapy to me. And so I was doing this with my girls back when they were like 4, 5, 6, right in the critical pocket way back. And so that's the advice that I give to single dads, single mums, anybody who's a guardian to
mind.
Yeah, and just understanding the spiritual relevance and the spiritual significance of playing music. Spiritual people like Bob Marley, Lauryn Hill, Tupac Shakur, and then it just goes on. They are obviously completely aware of the spiritual significance, and that's why they delved into spiritual knowledge. And so to answer the next question, delve into spiritual knowledge. That's where it's at, man.
Yeah.
That's it, man.
Yeah.
My changes the game.
And it's interesting you're talking about music and spirituality, because obviously my whole life, Joelle, I've been on this spiritual uncertainty where my senses and my cognitive dissonance will continually come into play when I've had these experiences occur around me, and I'm like, what the hell's going on? But that shouldn't happen because of this, and why is this happening? And some it doesn't exist, but yet that's happening right in front of my eyes. And you know, I'm learning so much through TZ and how to really connect with my senses, because of late, again, I've been experiencing whistles and and then I'm also getting visions while I'm fully awake and I'm just staring into the abyss of blackness, and then I'm seeing these cuneiforms, and I've mentioned this before, these cuneiforms that are evolving, and they come to me in a different vision. So this particular one actually happened to me last night or the night before, and they were in a circular bowl, and they were 3D, and they glow, the golden glow, and but I can't visualize and actually see the cuneiform symbols. So I have a theory, Cheese and I have a theory around what those symbols are for. And then later down the track, we'll predictions and what
that's all real.
We will definitely share that with everybody. But you know, we're looking at music with my girls. You know, I've had a musical background my whole entire life, although I never sung. I played a lot of instruments, but I didn't do them for very long.
Watch this space, partner. Watch this.
And then all of a sudden, we're now, you know, I'm not going to say it, not just yet anyway.
She's experimenting.
That's man. Like, you know, good on you. You know, doing things that are uncomfortable.
Yeah, but it's interesting, and you're right. I'm absolutely going into an uncomfortable realm that I'm constantly going backwards and myself. But what I'm now realizing now is that where I'm uncomfortable, the effect it's had on my girls is actually taking that uncomfortable feeling away, because they're shouting out music, they know the lyrics, you know, they're in tune, what was that word? What are you saying? Syncopation. And I'm just sitting here going, why did I not see, how did I not see this sooner?
Yeah, you've just got to look, whānau, you know, and observe, be like Tani and be good observers, you know. The further we look, the more beauty we can see. I'm looking outside and there's some pink clouds out there. Beautiful. You know, because I looked and I chose to look at them with a lens of gratitude. You know, so that's one thing I encourage, anyone out there that's struggling on the dark, let gratitude be the rope. You know, choose gratitude to put things into perspective again, and to really bring you out of that space, because we've all got so much to be grateful for. Even all the bullshit times, you know, they don't happen to us, they happen for us. They happen to give us lessons, to reveal things. So yeah, that's right. It's all learnings. And just on spirituality there, because you touched on it, sis, we're all spiritual beings, right? You know, our physical vessel and everything that we see is just it's a makeup of energy.
Yeah.
You know, you zoom into this wall I'm looking at, you'll see micro energy particles moving. You zoom into my skin, it's just in it. You know, it's all just energy, and everything is connected. You know, and to understand that you are connected to everything and everyone, it just makes everything okay. You know, and everyone's just trying to do their best with what they have. That's been a big epiphany for me.
So you just talked about micro
Hard up down to a cellular atom level, you know, mitochondria, mycelium, you know, like all the things that connect us. So just understand that we are all connected, and you know, it's been a big thing for me recently. You know, everyone just is. Everything just is. You know, it's about acceptance. You know, everything will just be. You know, and we are all connected through this beautiful universe that's here for us. So it's not actually helpful to sit in bad spaces or bad energies, or even to project our bad energies onto other people. You know.
What's been really hard is that you brought up, and again, it goes back to your 7 years of your life, and you know, you're told certain things, and again, that's where that whole cognitive dissonance. But I'm going to say, and going to end with, is that your senses are there for a reason.
Oh yeah.
There to be used to connect, to actually help you to understand how to actually see and direct and maneuver yourself through life. So if anybody says to you that your senses are incorrect and spirituality and what you believe in that sense and in that space does not exist, kick them to the curb. Don't even bother with them, because ultimately, as you were saying, Joel, here is spiritual beings and connecting. So
consciousness. We're all consciousness. We're all. Science can't even figure consciousness out.
Absolutely. Right.
So yeah, that's what I'd. You know, that's would be my last comments. Just you know, lead with love. Be kind. It's free. You know. And if people have other choices, that's still okay as well. You know, you can just still love them anyway. I see everyone on this planet as a baby of the universe. You know, and everyone's just wanting to feel like they're a part of something, or they want love, or they want to just be seen, or to be able to be themselves. You know, their authentic self. So just start challenging your thoughts, start learning new ways of thinking, start connecting to your culture, whatever that culture is. Get to know who you are. Start unpacking trauma. You know, for example, I didn't know that. Why was I getting anxiety when I had to go meet with the manager at work? And I wasn't going to get in trouble, but it was because at high school, my principal used to yell at me in his office.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, at primary school when I was 5. You know, so it took a lot of unpacking to really get to that space. Why do I have a strong fight or flight? Because I almost got kidnapped at 6 years old. You know, I had forgotten about this stuff, but it wasn't until I really dropped into that other space that I was able to see it all again. So let love be the one that conquers it all, and don't ever feel like you're alone. Okay. There's people out there that care about you. I care about you.
We all do.
Reach out to me if you can find me.
Insta, on Facebook.
Yeah, you know, and there's services out there too. So don't ever feel like Te Po is the only space that you can be in, because, you know, we live in the dark every day. And the sun rises every morning. So, that's me. If you have any other questions, send them my way, but
Let's get together for a hakari.
Okay.
Definitely. Well, look, we're going to end it there, and I just want to say thank you so much for joining us on the show. And, I'm going to tell you now, you're coming back whether you like it or not. So I'll see around a date that you're going to be free, because ultimately this is a really powerful conversation that needs to continue, that I want to continue.
That's right.
This platform is purely here to support and help people to deviate through the day-to-day life of disruption, and so much great advice and tidbits and information that have come from this that will absolutely resonate with so many different people on so many different levels. So look, what are your momentum brushes? I want to hear. Message me, send me a video, jump on all of our social media. What social media have you got?
What was that last bit?
What's your social media? Is it just Facebook?
Oh, I've got Instagram as well.
Oh.
I was going to do the TikTok thing, but I just don't have the time, mate. But yeah, so I can create platform. I'll join platforms if it's more helpful for others. But yeah, mainly Facebook is where I upload. I upload to my story just authentically, and Instagram I put up some photos there. But I haven't done that for a while. But yeah, thank you so much for this opportunity to share a bit about my journey, to share a bit about the things I've learned that have helped me and that are helping some other whānau out there. I just want to acknowledge you, Jamie, for creating this space for our people. There needs to be more of these spaces. Our people were big on wānanga, whare anō anō, doing things over and until we got it sorted. So I'm happy to come back, and I just really appreciate you creating this space, and for you, brother, for sharing your knowledge and your energy. I can feel it through the phone, and I look forward to our hakari and connections. I feel like we can wānanga all through the night. Absolutely. And we'll light a fire by the awa and catch some meals or something, and go there. So tēnei te mihi kia kōrua. Is it all good? After your comments, bro, to I'll close the karakia. It's all good.
Absolutely.
Amazing. Oh, thank you, everybody. Stay tuned, and I'll let you know when our next show will be. I'm excited to get you all back on the show, and watch the space. We'll hear from you. Let us know if you have any questions. Forward our StayMe Always. Anybody that you feel for the support and help. Otherwise, take care. Ngā mihi. Bye.
Bye. Bye.